The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we thank you for tuning in just as much as we thank Greenwood Chevrolet for being the constant sponsor of Running Point. We have a great show for you today. As I said yesterday, next couple of weeks are going to be all about basketball previews on this show. We've been gathering them up like crazy. They will start to pop up like crazy on our website as well. But we have two for you today. Me and Ty both were able to get on the interviews with these next two coaches that we'll feature on today's show. Matt Reel from the Canfield girls basketball program and Aaron Gilbert with the Garfield girls basketball program. Girls are going to come first, to be honest, because we have less time to get them done. So you'll probably see a lot of girls basketball ones pop up in the next week, and then we'll probably see more of an influx in boys after the girls have been taken care of. But we want to make sure that they get as many of them as possible get done before the start of the season. And obviously the girls basketball season starts about 5 days before the boys basketball season starts. We have to make sure they get the priority of the first, to get handled, and then we'll get our boys coaches as well. But you add them up, we have 62 schools, so that's 62 coaches on both sides, 124 total basketball coaches between boys and girls basketball. And me and Ty, we have the goal to get as close to 124 as possible in the next 2 weeks and change. So you are going to see a lot of basketball previews. If they are not able to be featured on this show, because we only have an hour a day, of course, they will definitely be on our website, be on our YouTube page. So if you don't see your favorite coach pop up on Running Point, do not fret. Make sure to go over to our YouTube page and our website to keep an eye on that. For all the basketball previews, we will get as many as we possibly can. Of course, it also comes down to coach availability and if they get back to us scheduling an interview. But we do everything we can to make sure every school gets their season previewed in a timely manner. With that being said, we will once again feature two on today's show, Matt Reel and Aaron Gilbert. But before we get to that, a couple of things to talk about. One, I want to say today, if you're living under a rock in the country, I don't think there's anyone in the whole country that doesn't know that today is election day. Today is voting day. Not here to give you political opinions, not here to tell you who to vote for, of course, but I am here to tell you to go out there and vote. Do your civic duty as a country. One of the things that I think people don't understand enough or don't take seriously enough is there are a lot of countries in the world that people live in because they were born in that country or whatever it may be. They don't necessarily choose to live there. That they don't have the right to vote. There are people that don't have the right to vote. There are plenty of countries out there that don't run democracies like we do. So we are privileged that we live in a country that gives you that freedom to have a say in what happens in our government system, because not every system is like that. In fact, our country was founded because we were trying to get away from a regime that was not like that. Remember, we are built on an idea that we have to do better than than the country that we escaped. Now, obviously, a lot has changed since 1776. There are many more countries with democracies now than there were back then, but still, there are plenty of people in the world that do not have the same rights that you do. When you go out there and you cast a ballot, do not take that lightly. Do not make it just a thing that you do, because, like, really take it seriously, one, and treasure it and respect it, and really be grateful for the fact that you have the opportunity to go to a ballot and vote for someone. It's not a thing where you will be, jailed if you vote for the wrong person, which there are a lot of countries that are like that too. Or it's not, puppet strings where it's a Mickey Mouse election. None of that happens in America. So make sure to go out there, make sure to cast your vote, because it is your civic duty to make sure to go out there and do that. I have done it. I think I speak for everyone at YSN. We are red, white, and blue for a reason. We believe in the country's rights and the freedoms that we have in this country. So please, if you haven't already, which I think you should have by now, but if you haven't already, make sure you go out there and you vote, because it is not just your right, but it is also, in my humble opinion, your civic duty. At the very least, you don't have to be all about politics in this country. You don't have to do that, but your bare minimum duty as a um, civilian of America is to be able to, a citizen, I should say, of America, is to go vote. That is a basic duty. It's almost like going to jury duty, right? It is a civic responsibility that you have as a citizen to have your voice be heard. And I think the biggest reason why is because there are so many people that don't have that right? So make sure to do not waste the things that so many people have fought for you to have, which is the right to go out there and vote on the ballot. So make sure you do that. We want to thank everyone that does do that, everyone that gives us the right to vote for this country, everyone that has given their lives either now or in the past to make sure that right is not only there, but stays there for a very long time. And God bless America, right? Either way it goes, I'm a firm believer that there is a king on the throne that reigns no matter what nominee wins. So keep that in perspective too, if you are a person of faith like I am. With that being said, I also want to remind everyone out there from a YSN perspective that tonight is the All-Star Volleyball draft. So we will spin the Wheel of Destiny. Me and Ty Bartel coming on at 6 o'clock tonight. We will spin the Wheel of Destiny. We will break up the big roster into two teams. This year, our coaches for the All-Star game are Kristen Nesbitt from Canfield, and then the host coaching staff from the host school Salem will also be on a bench as well. So make sure to come into the draft, see where your player or players, there are a couple of schools with multiple players, see where they fall. We will spin the Wheel of Destiny. We will put it out. We'll have a lot of fun. The YSN All-Star Volleyball game is on Saturday, November 9th. So this upcoming Saturday at Salem High School. Game starts at 6. Player check-in is at 5. The admission fee to get in is going to be $5 per person. And like all of our All-Star games, every sell at the gate will go to a charitable donation. So make sure to get out there, pay for your ticket, and get in, enjoy some really, really good volleyball. Outside of Beaver, it will be the bow to the volleyball season. Beaver actually fighting tonight in the state tournament. So if they win tonight, I should say, which everything is pointing towards they should in the first round of the state tournament. They are the heavy favorites. But as long as they win tonight, they will be playing on Saturday. So unfortunately, Beaver PA will not, if they win tonight, will not be available to come down on Saturday, but we are rooting for them. And outside of them, though, outside of Beaver Volleyball, no one else is playing in the YSN family. So Saturday will be the nice little bow on the volleyball season, especially if Beaver isn't playing. But we hope they are. We hope they win today, and we hope they win Saturday. If they win Saturday, they'll go on to the state semifinals and the state championship for Pennsylvania. Is going to be at Cumberland High School as well. So we hope the Beaver can work their way into that. It all starts tonight for Beaver in the state tournament. You can find information on how to purchase tickets if you're wanting to go to Du Bois High School. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm mispronouncing that high school's name, forgive me. If you want to head down there to watch the Bobcats play, ticket sales can be purchased online. You can find the information in the QR code for those ticket sales on Beaver Athletics Facebook page. That's where I saw them. I'll make sure to share them on Ysn's page too. So if you're interested, you can get down there and support the last volleyball team standing in the Ysn family. Since there are no more fall sports out there except for football and Beaver volleyball, like I said, we're gonna be turning our gaze, I should say, over to basketball. We have two great coaches that we are going to feature on today's show, season previews and roster previews, all that fun stuff. We're going to start with the head coach of the Canfield girls basketball team, Matt Reel. Me and Ty Bartell both had a chance to talk with him this morning right before the show. So I hope you enjoy. This is one of the coaches that we've had on quite a bit, and he's had a lot of success at Canfield. So it's such a pleasure to get to talk to him again. So here is a Coach's Corner season preview with the Canfield girls basketball head coach, Matt Reel.
Ty Bartell, Anthony Hartwig in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This one brought to you by Coca's Pizza, too. It's the Canfield Cardinals Coach's Corner with head coach Matt Reel from the girls basketball team joining us today. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing outstanding.
I want to talk a little bit about these practices you guys have gotten to. I mean, it's practice season. It's scrimmage season right now for girls basketball. What have you seen in practices? What are some girls that have stood out, and what are some names we need to get used to for this program?
We've had really solid practices. Our school's been going through some sickness in the last week, so we've had girls in and out, girls coming late from volleyball and getting some rest in between seasons. Had our first scrimmage Saturday. Love the effort that our girls have given. We've gotten a lot better in a short amount of time. In terms of some players, we should be looking for. We have two seniors on our team, Marina Koenig and Aline Barakat, who will have increased roles this year, but were important role players for us last year. Our two returning starters are Jenna Treveri and Carly Fleming, two juniors. They got a lot of varsity experience last year, even though Jenna missed half the year with her injury. And then we think we're going to have four juniors that have not yet experienced some varsity action: Cece Muckleroy, Sophia Castronova, Jenna Havrilla, and Loriana Janone. All of them, to some degree, played a little bit last year for us, but we're a really inexperienced team, and we're a young team in terms of varsity experience.
Coach, when you think about the identity of this team and how it can shift, we saw it shift a couple of years ago when you lost a big senior class and you became more of a big shooting team, and now this year you might have to adjust a little bit again. Talk about what you've seen already on what the identity and strengths of this team might be based on the personnel that you do have.
That's a really good question, Anthony, and it's something we're still figuring out. We're using the scrimmage season to try a lot of different things and a little different combinations, and we think we can maybe pressure a little bit more because we have some good athleticism, especially in our guard ranks. We're probably not as good of a shooting team as we've been in the past, and we also lack a lot of size. So we're trying to figure out some things, and sometimes it's tough to predict what's going to be effective, especially early on with girls who don't have a lot of experience. So we're trying a lot of things, and I think the first half of the year is going to be a lot of experimentation and trying to figure out what fits us best.
You're always learning as a coach too, and I'm sure always learning year in and year out too. What has this year taught you so far as a coach too, and what are some things you're trying to bring knowledge-wise this year into coaching?
That to me is the fun thing, and being somebody that was mentored by Coach Cullen and Coach Papp, who's on our staff. What I always respected the most about Coach Cullen is he just wanted to learn everything about the game and never felt like he had all the answers. And I certainly learned that from him, and I don't have all the answers. We're trying this year to make sure our girls are even closer than they've been in the past in terms of playing for each other, trying to do some things to foster that. We're also trying to make it so that we play even more than we play up and down, even more than we have in previous practice years. So less drills and just playing more and correcting through them playing so they get that experience of playing and try to put them in practice the difficult situations and the chaos that they're going to experience during the game.
Coach, this is something you have to deal with every year, but I want you to talk about just taking girls that are from other sports. Maybe they're coming to you a little bit later than the girls that don't play fall sports, and what it's like to integrate them into the mix when you've had a good mix of girls that you've had from the start, and then girls that you've had come in late because they've been doing fall sports.
I listen. I think it's great they're doing fall sports, and we were actually hoping not to see them this early because that would have meant their other sports were going even longer. And that's fine with us because I think winning breeds winning, and the more competitive situations they're in, the better. In terms of integrating, we're not real complicated, but what we do is we think is simple, but it's actually hard to apply, and they have to make a lot of reads, and so there's not a whole lot of things they have to learn that are brand new. It's just things we're constantly working on and getting better at, decision making. How do you attack this type of defense, things like that. So it's more conceptual versus running a set play. So, that's not a big deal to me. And I think that competition and them competing in other sports is great.
I love you as a coach because I feel like you consistently do a good job of getting the most out of your players. And I feel like that's a challenge in of itself because there's no secret. High school girls have their own set of challenges, their own personalities. They come from different backgrounds. What is your secret to getting the most out of each one of the kids you're able to coach to and get them to reach their full potential on the court and off the court?
Well, I appreciate that compliment. And, I think that's how I kind of evaluate coaches is do they get the most out of their team? And so that's the best compliment I could receive. I think it first starts with the families they have and the families we have here at Canfield. They want their girls to be coached hard. They let us coach them hard. And the kids, the young ladies are wonderful to work with. And I think instead of like having them work for you, just having them work with you, I think that's a big key because if they know that you really invested in them as a person, girls play so hard for you. And, and the thing we're trying to get is not just playing hard for their families or else, but play hard for each other. And if we get that done, we have a chance to be really, really good. And, we'll reach our full potential as a team. But, it's not anything that we do here. I think that's anything different, but we have great families and great kids who want to work hard and they have a desire to be really, really good. And when you have that, it's a lot easier to coach than if you don't.
Coach, let's dive into your schedule. We'll start with the conference inside the AAC. It's a smaller conference, but it's a tough conference. We know that every year. It's a one that you have to go through the gauntlet to get through. Talk about what you see out of the conference this year and some of the expectations out of the AAC.
Well, it's funny when the 7 divisions came out, we were Division 4 and we were the only Division 4 team in the conference. I texted all the coaches and said, we just hope to stay within 20 of all you guys since you playing these giant schools. We're the little Hoosiers team from Hickory trying to compete. But I think last year was the best year, and I thought our conference stacked up to any in our area in terms of the quality of play. We were 4-4 and could easily have been 6-2. That's how tight all the games were. I probably would say that Harding is the favorite coming back just because of the amount of experience they have. Some of their young players that are freshmen and sophomores have taken some lumps. Getting varsity experience, and I think they're now ready to blossom. So they're going to be a tough team. Fitch always has excellent athleticism, and Dan does a really good job getting them to play hard. Howland has Howland. Howland's always one of the premier programs in our area, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And we're interested. Obviously we have a little connection to Annie Pavlinsky at Boardman, and kind of a fresh set of eyes, and taking over for Coach Hammerton, who did such a great job with him last year. We expect it to be another competitive year. Maybe not as good of overall, maybe some experienced talent, but we think there's a lot of young talent in the league.
Let's also talk about the non-conference schedule, Coach. You have a smaller conference, so you're able to go outside of it quite a bit and test yourself. What kind of teams pop up non-conference that you're excited about?
Well, we have our traditional opponents. We play West Branch, Struthers, Louisville. We always play Stowe. We're looking at probably playing Laurel Academy. Streetsboro is added on there. We think it's a pretty formidable schedule there. We added on Revere playing before the Cavs at a game. It's a demanding schedule, and we're excited for the challenge, and we think that we have a lot of the really good teams in D4 on our schedule. We also added Norton, who's perennially a district final regional team. So we think by the time tournament time rolls around, whatever our record is, we're going to be really prepared.
I'm excited for it too. That non-conference schedule is a gauntlet as well. As Anthony mentioned, gauntlets with the conference. Non-conference is no different too in premier basketball teams. What are some of the things you want to see growth in from game 1 to game 22 of the season?
We need to become a better rebounding team, and that's going to be difficult with our size. Everybody kind of minimizes how important height is in basketball, and I think every team's not as tall as they used to be with other things going on in girls athletics. But we're especially short, so we're going to have to do that better. The only thing about girls playing other sports is we want them to concentrate on the sports. So sometimes when they come in and they haven't been doing any off-season shooting, it takes them a little bit longer to shoot the ball. And a lot of times we'll look at a game and we've lost it, and we just say, hey, we got to make more shots, and so we got to become a better shooting team. But I expect this team especially to be a completely different team game 22 to game 1, just because we have so many young pieces that don't have that experience, and once they start getting used to the speed of the varsity game, the intensity of it, the physical play, I think their talent's really going to show. So those are probably the two biggest things, though.
That's a big picture growth question, but when you talk about the next couple of weeks and things that you and the coaching staff want to see out of these scrimmages that you're going to have before game 1, what's kind of the game plan or the things on your checklist that you want to see out of these scrimmages that you're going to have in the next few weeks before game 1 comes upon us?
I think the biggest thing for us as coaches is we want to try to help our girls find their role in varsity basketball, because we kind of think there's 3 parts of becoming a varsity player. The first one is getting used to the game. The second one is figuring out what you can do and what's your strength that's going to work against other varsity players. And the third thing is, what are those areas you need to improve as you're kind of leaning toward your strengths that will really help you grow. And we got exposed in a lot of different areas. We played 6 different teams up at Wadsworth on Saturday, and we have another scrimmage at Solon on Saturday with multi-teams, and we played Norton on Wednesday. And I think we got to do a better job of handling full court pressure. Sometimes we have great looks, but we don't complete the pass, or we'll have a great look for a layup and we'll fumble out of bounds, or we'll miss the layup. It'll be a layup on the other end. And so we just got to become better finishers of plays. We're making good ideas and good decisions, but basically it comes down to, you got to go make the play when it comes available to you. So I would say that's probably what we're looking for in the next 4 scrimmages.
I love having a theme question for my basketball coaches each and every year, and this year it's about what the game has taught you. You guys are teachers of the game. You teach so many student athletes, but I want to know, what's the biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you?
Basketball has been great to me. It's been a huge part of my life since I was 8 years old. And, if I would think about one thing it's taught me is, that the game is really good to those who give back. And, if a younger coach calls you up, and I used to be that coach calling up older coaches, and now I'm that old guy that, occasionally somebody calls up, it's, the ability to give. And I think, giving back to the game that's been so good to us is really important. I think it also is a game that rewards people who put in the time. If you are dedicated to it and you really have a passion for it, generally in the long run, it's going to work out well for you.
All right, Coach, we wouldn't end these interviews without giving you the chance to talk about your coaching staff. I know you put great staffs together every year. Talk about the coaches that you have in the program this year that are helping you make Canfield as great as it is.
Sure. It's, one of our assistant coaches at the high school is Pat Pavlansky, and he was a coach here for 19 years before me. He's been coaching. We tease him. He's about 104 years old and been coaching about 80 years. So, he's got a lot of experience there. We also have a new coach on staff, Coach Jason Morrell, who's also a football coach and a baseball coach for us. And I know in the few practices he's been here since football's been over, he's really enjoyed working with the girls. We also have a volunteer assistant this year, Harmony Stanger, who actually played on our 2001 state team. So she had helped out at Cheney the last few years, is coming over to help us a little bit here. And then at the middle school, we have Coach Jim Harmon and Coach Mike Merritt, who both have over 20 years experience coaching our 7th and 8th graders. So I feel blessed to have a staff that's committed and really has the best interest of the girls in mind.
Coach, with basketball season coming upon us, it always reminds me of Thanksgiving, too, because it's always the start of Girls and Boys season, too. So I want you to shout out your first game, too, where the Canfield community can catch you, but I also want you to tell me, what's the favorite dish on Thanksgiving Day?
Our first game is here at home Tuesday night before Thanksgiving versus the Ysn Fighting Irish. So we expect a nice crowd for that and a great game, and we're doing that. And then actually the following day we play at 3:00. We play Revere up at I don't know, what is it, Quicken Loans or Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse? It's changed so many times, but we play before the Cavs there. For me, give me my mom's homemade stuffing with a little bit of gravy. I'll eat it cold. I'll eat it hot. I'll eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner the day after. So that by far is my favorite.
That's 2 votes for stuffing too, and I can understand why, man. I say that's where the flavor is, man. The turkey just gives you the protein. The stuffing's where the flavor is at.
Right.
Coach, I thank you so much for giving us the time to kind of give us a solid preview too. Before we let you go, I want to just give you that spotlight to shine on anybody else that you want to shine in the Canfield community or in your life too that's helped you along the way.
Well, I first like to thank my wife because, the amount of time to do this, I think the right way is a ton of time away from them. And she's great about, allowing me to pursue my passion. And she always says that you want to be the same person you are without your passion. So, she makes a lot of sacrifices, and without her, I couldn't do this. Our Canfield community, I think as a whole, we have a strong administration here that wants our sports to do well. And I actually appreciate, we have a lot of students that come to our games. We have a good solid student section of 40 to 50, and we're hoping to double that this year. But, I just feel blessed to be a part of the Canfield community and have the opportunity to coach one more season.
Coach, we thank you so much for the time you give us. We wish you the best of luck on the court this year, as I'm excited to see how these girls grow under your tutelage this year with the Canfield girls basketball team.
Me too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. It's been a first edition of Coach's Corner with Matt Reel from Canfield girls basketball.
That was indeed Matt Reel from the Canfield girls basketball program. We thank him for his time being able to join us and give us a solid preview of the Cardinals season. We're going to take a break here at Running Point. When we come back, we have another Coach's Corner season preview from the girls basketball world. It's Aaron Gilbert, head coach of the Garfield girls basketball team. That will be coming up after this break. Running Point always brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends that you heard from in that commercial break, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm your host, Anthony Hartwig, and we thank you for tuning in today. As always, we also thank Greenwood Chevrolet for their constant sponsorship. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, got to make sure to go check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They'll take care of you. They also have a great service department, so if you're in car or truck or vehicle is in any need of any service, you can check out Greenwood Chevrolet. They'll take care of you in that department as well. The way we go the extra mile for you, we follow their lead, is we try to feature interviews with coaches and players on every show that we do. And we continue that trend today, another season preview from the basketball world. The basketball season is right around the corner. And we will feature a interview, Coach's Corner season preview, with Aaron Gilbert, the head coach of the Garfield G-Men girls basketball team. He's a great friend of the show. He's been on quite a bit over the last several years since we've had Garfield as a member of the Ysn team. And we get him on again to preview the 2024 basketball season. Here's Aaron Gilbert, the head coach of Garfield, with Ty Bartell and myself.
Ty Bartell, Anthony Hartwig, in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we head to one of my favorite teams from the Portage County, the Garrettsville Garfield G-Men girls basketball team, headed by Coach Aaron Gilbert for another year. Coach, how are we doing today?
We're good. We're good. Glad to be back for another season.
Oh, I know, man. And you're about as Garrettsville Garfield as it gets there, too, with the G-Men and how you built that program up. What's practice has been look like? It's scrimmage season right now. What are you seeing from the team? What are some girls we got to get used to knowing? I think I can think of at least one in particular.
Yeah. We're it's still early with everything. Pretty young. Got a nice group of freshmen that came out this year, so kind of added to our youth. I think we have 19 or 20 girls that came out this year, and 12 are freshmen and sophomores. So pretty young group. Very athletic group from what I've noticed so far. Right now, it's just trying to, it's so early. You're just trying to kind of put the pieces in and see what everybody can do, what everybody's capable of doing. Coming off last year, we got a lot of people returning, actually pretty much the entire team returning. Took a lot of lumps. So hopefully we use that as motivation and something so we don't have a repeat. So.
You brought up last year, and last year was a instance when you had a lot of players that it got thrown to the Sharks. You had to kind of learn varsity on the fly because you lost so much senior talent the year before. So let's talk about kind of the lessons that you think were learned last year and some of the things that you expect growth in from all those returning players that have now have a year of varsity play under their belt.
Yeah, you look at usually, we've had several strong senior classes in a row. And then we go through last year and we really had to put some players out there that just weren't ready from day one. And it became a learning experience. And then about halfway through the season, you lose the only returning player you had. So not only are they learning, but then they got to relearn because, somebody they had been accustomed to playing with Mandy goes down, with ACL. So, it was a lot of learning, painful learning, and of course, people thought, it's, you've been up for so long, so now's the time to kick a dog when they're down. So, we're gonna pile on what we can. And so, those girls kind of felt the wrath of some of the teams of what we've had success with over the last couple of years. So I'm kind of hoping that still burns in them a little bit. I know it fires me up for it. But I look at kind of how we were this past season with soccer. In that the year before, a lot of similar situation, a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience. And I look at how much more competitive we were this last season. Yeah, it didn't necessarily turn into as many wins, but we were in more winnable games. And that's kind of what I'm hoping this year serves as a chance to put ourselves in opportunities in the fourth quarter to finish the job and to get some wins, as opposed to just trying to get through to get to the next game.
Well, we all know, and in the sport of basketball, to get your wins, you got to rely on your strengths too. We talk about team identity all the time? Does the identity of this team change at all from last year, returning as much as you do return in that starting lineup, or what is that identity you're looking for this team this year?
No, I really don't think. I think one of the cornerstones of the program has been, no matter who the opponent is, we're going to play as hard as we can. And I think that's no matter what girls we roll out there, that's the one thing we ask them to do. We know not everybody's at the same skill level, but if everybody's playing at that 90 to 100% of their skill set, then we've got a chance. And really last year, we competed as long as we could. For some teams, it was for 2 quarters. For some, it was 2.5. For some, it was 3. For some, it was 3.5. And then we would just just didn't have that finishing power. So I'm hoping that this year, that we take that step to compete longer in each game, and then in the end, get some dubs.
Let's meet the team. Let's go through the roster. Shout out the players that are going to be featured in the Scorefield team, the returning players, and maybe some new faces that we might see as well.
Yeah, I mean, we really returned the core 8 that saw quality minutes last year, with Mandy coming back off ACL, and then our 2 seniors with Colby and Juliana will definitely fill important roles. And we're going to be asking them to do a little bit more than what they were doing last year. And then we do have a pretty strong junior class that saw a lot of success as underclassmen, and now we're hoping that as juniors, kind of being back together with Mandy and Kaylin and Riley and Annie, that they all fill a very different part of what we're going to be asking them to do. And I think that's one of the things, when you have a season like we had last year, you do a lot of self-reflection. And I kind of look back at the season, and I put a lot of it on my shoulders that I just didn't do as good of a job in the practices as identifying as early as I needed to strengths and weaknesses. And, I put some people in some positions that they just weren't ready for, kind of out of necessity, but also without maybe the proper instruction. So, I really did a lot of self-reflection in the off season of how can I be better? Had a little change up in the coaching staff. So that, kind of changes the dynamic of things as well. Brought one of our middle school coaches up to the high school level. And then, going back with the players, throwing in 2 sophomores that, again, as freshmen, were not ready for varsity basketball, but we had a need at the guard position, and we brought Charlie Hill and Kylie McMahon up for minutes later in the year. And again, hoping that those, kind of translate into, okay, I've been here before, now I know how to handle it. Whereas last year, what was the Jared Allen comment about I didn't realize the lights were so bright or something like that in the playoffs. I kind of feel like that's kind of how we were, is, people want to play varsity. Then they realize, oh my God, this is varsity, and it's a lot faster and tougher than what I initially thought it would be.
When you got a year of team playing though too, and having that chemistry, does the playbook, or I guess does the way you have them play, does that open up, or is it more refining and perfecting what you already do well?
It's the refining and perfecting. Like I said, I think I tried to do way too much with this group last year, trying to find what we're good at. I think as the year went on, especially late in the year, we found some things that we were a little bit more successful at. So it's definitely a refining and focusing. There's no reason to have 10 plays if you're only good at 2 of them. There's no reason to have 15 sets if you can only run 3 of them, because nobody can remember them. So we really watered down and focused on it. People are going to know what we're going to do. It's not stupid. You're going to get the ball to Mandy. Okay, now we've got the other people, though, that have the confidence, and she has the confidence in her teammates to say, hey, I can pass to this person. I know they're going to make a shot. I can pass to this person. Because I think that was a big thing last year, is we just didn't really have confidence in each other. It's not even having the self-confidence, having confidence in each other that, oh, well, if I throw it to that person, things aren't going to happen. So I just got to go do it myself. And now I really feel as the year went on, and we completely bagged what we've done in the past in the summer. I completely flipped the script of anything I've ever done in the summer, and tried something new. We'll see if it happens to work out this year. But I just didn't feel that what we had done in the past was going to be beneficial to this group. And I'm hoping what we did install this summer and what we did kind of do differently with them is gonna help us out. But like I said, when you go through what we did last year, that's an anomaly. That is definitely a self-reflection time. And everybody can say, well, you had a good run. Well, okay, but no, now it's time to get back to what we're supposed to do. And I really look at it, like I said, and say, there's a handful of games out there that I could have done a better job in managing them, and it could have turned out the other way. And then we're looking at a 500 season instead of the season that we had. And it's a good reminder in practice. One of the things I hope a lot of people, I know a lot of people might not be big fans of him, but if you're watching the College Game Day and you listen to any of the Nick Sabanisms out there, man's a genius. I don't care what you say. And you listen to how he approaches things and the details. And, that's one of the things that I've kind of reflected on is I got away from being detail oriented because I just kind of took some things for granted and what I had from a talent standpoint. So now it's focusing back on those details and really honing my coaching skills. 18 years is a long time to be in one place, and you kind of get into a rut. You kind of get into this is just how we do it. Well, sometimes you got to change, and a lot of times that changes for the better.
Coach, let's talk about the schedule. We'll start with the conference inside the MVAC grade tier. Just talk about what you expect out of it and some of the things that you think will go down in the MVAC. There are some coaching changes, of course, and how you expect to compete in the conference.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 coaching changes in the league this year. On paper, Crestview is by far on a different level than everybody else. But then again, I don't think LeBray is all that far. I think Mandy's done a heck of a job with her group, kind of going through the lumps that we did 2 years ago, playing those young kids, getting experience. I would love to have the turnaround this year that she had last year. And then with new coaches, you just don't know what the new philosophies are going to be. You don't know what new players might show up because of previous regimes they might not have liked, and so they didn't want to play, but now they want to. And flipping out Campbell for Southeast didn't do anybody any favors, because that's at least in the Portage area, that's been a perennial powerhouse that's just going to have great athletic. And you saw how they came into the soccer tier and dominated that. It's just, it's there are no nights off. And now with the new format, with the Tuesday, Fridays, flipping halfway through the season, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, that's going to be something that's different too. Girls aren't used to playing on a Friday night. And so we're going to see how that kind of reflects everything. Is it going to draw attendance? I don't know. Parents still follow girls sports. Like, I don't think new people are going to show up because it's a Friday night. But it's just a little different experience for the players. But like I said, there's schedule wise in league, there's no nights off. Like, you have to bring it. And I do think that the majority of the league is capable of beating each other. I think it's going to be, you're going to have a very clear division, and then you're going to have a big mishmash of a bunch of teams that are just beating each other's brains out night in, night out.
Talk about a little bit of the non-conference schedule. I know the conference being as big as it is doesn't lend to many non-conference games, but I know you guys always like to test yourself in the non-conference. What are some you're excited about this year?
Opening up with Rootstown, who returns a good core of players off of a very successful season last year. Not necessarily the best way to start your season, but at least, like I said, you don't get better playing a bunch of teams that just pad your stats. I mean, if you want to do that, good for you. But in the end, you want to be ready for March run. Picked up Smithville this year, another perennial powerhouse out of Wayne County area. And of course, we'll go to South Range for a nice backyard tussle with Fischel. Finally got him to play us over there. I've been telling him for years, like, why don't we go over there and play you? And now we're actually going to do it. So that'll be fun. And then it's amazing too, when you have a year like you have, all the people that all of a sudden want to play you again. So we added a couple people back that we've played in the past that didn't want to play us for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden they want to play us again. So, kudos to you. Put you on a schedule, and we'll see how that shakes out. But had a neat experience with the team down the road from us with Crestwood. We're doing a boys-girls doubleheader at Hiram College, so that's kind of something fun and new. Been trying to get games at Hiram for 18 years, and finally in the 18th year we get one there, so that's a good thing. But I just think it's a great experience for the kids to be on a college campus and in that environment for a game.
Coach, it is normally way too early to talk about tournaments, but this year is a little different because we have expanded the divisions in basketball. So I want you to talk about what you think of expanding the divisions. How much do you think it might help a school like Garfield with the new division that you're in, and what you think about, 7 divisions now instead of 4?
You want the political version, or you want the coach version?
You have never given us the political version. So you give us the full Aaron Gilbert experience.
Personally, I get it, but I'm not a huge fan of it, especially for the end. I think they've ruined the Final Four experience for high school athletes by playing the semis in a neutral site and then only playing the championship games in Dayton. I think that just completely ruins what basketball is. Basketball has always been the sport that has the Final Four in a location, college down to high school. And I think they've just completely ruined that. I mean, Baldwin Wallace is a beautiful place. I don't know if they're going to use it. I don't want to play my state semifinal at Baldwin Wallace. I want to play it at Dayton. That's me. I'm old school. That's just kind of the way it is. The 7 divisions definitely changes some things. looking at how things went out, I kind of think us staying in Division 5 got really interesting because a lot of the teams that have been blocking us and things like that over the years moved either up or down. I personally, in the area, I think Division 6 is a meat grinder, and as is Division 4. Do I think 5's easy? No, but I do think a lot of those teams have gone up or down, and it's really, really changed the landscape of the tournament. But I don't know. I liked the way that it was. I personally, for the girls, I would love them to move the state championship and final and semis back to St. John's. Nice environment, small, loud. They did. I went down last year to Dayton. Dayton's a beautiful place, but it's just it just doesn't have that mystique that Columbus has. But I do think the 7 definitely opens up some pathways for a lot of schools that didn't have that pathway. I look back at our run back in 2017, and the 2 teams we ran into in the regionals both moved up a division the next year. And I sit there and go, well, the 2 teams we had to play there, Gilmore and Ursuline, were both 2 the next year. If they're not there, then, we get a chance to go down there. So, it's one of the things you have every year. But yeah, I don't know, and now with the max preps, with the RPI ratings and all that, with your doing your seedings, it changes how things are kind of shaped up for where you're going to be seated, but it also rewards you for playing that tougher schedule if you're able to get some wins in that on that schedule.
Coach, I know about your long tenure there with Garrettsville Garfield. I also know about your long tenure being a coach in the sport of basketball. You've taught countless numbers of young ladies to the sport of basketball. And that's kind of the theme question this year, too, is the teaching of the sport of basketball. But what I'm curious about is what's the biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you?
It's just I actually look back this past, I don't even know why my brain went here, but last Mother's Day, I was driving back home and I was looking at some stuff and I started thinking back. I'm like, I called my one assistant coach who played for me. And I said to her, I said, looking at some of the posts of, Happy Mother's Day stuff, I said, you realize we have like 12 or 14 girls now that are moms, former players that now have families of their own. And from a coaching standpoint, I think that's one of the things it's kind of like the coolest thing that I look back on is those relationships you've kept up with players. You see them developing and leading their families, being good moms, being good human beings. And then, when they come back to a practice or come back to a game with their kids, or even if they don't have kids and they come back, that's kind of the legacy, is having that. It's just unique. Even as a teacher, having kids come back to your class, it's just not a job that not a lot of other jobs get that satisfaction. And a lot of jobs, you don't see your impact. And even players that might not have played very much for you come back and say, oh, I had such a good time. And they don't remember games. They just remember, hey, remember when you did this in practice? Remember when this happened in this game? But that's really, I think that's really kind of one of those legacy things that you look back and you just look back and you say, hey, look at what a good person those people have turned into.
Coach, you've been a part of many of these season previews. You know that we don't let them go without you talking about your staff and the people that are behind you making this program great from the middle school on up. So why don't you shout out your coaching staff this year in the program and the people that are behind you making it great?
Yeah, high school staff hasn't changed a whole lot. Andy Cardinal's still helping me out, former varsity coach. Taylor Smith, like I said, former player. She's been on staff for several years now. And then Erica Jarvis comes to us. She was with the middle school, but she's got a lot of coaching experience, also playing at one of the former MVAC schools back in the day. She's got a lot of information and has definitely brought a different vibe to practices. And it's just, every now and then you just need that little influx of just, something's got to change. And that just happened to be the change. Middle school wise, that's always one of those positions wise. We're still kind of, finalizing positions as we get closer to the season. But Brett's going to do a great job with our 8th graders. And then, 7th grade, we're getting that all finalized and ready to go as things go on. I just, it's coaching's not easy, and you got to get kudos to the people that do, because they're giving up a lot of time. They're not as obsessed with it as I am. But right now I'm just trying to get everything back together after I had off-season back surgery just a couple weeks ago. So I'm still trying to get back in the swing of things. So even the girls have been like, man, you're kind of calm. I'm like, well, I kind of can't yell a whole lot right now. So just wait a couple weeks. You're going to wish for this person back again. So just excited to, kind of see how things roll, and it just ready to get last year's taste out of my mouth personally.
Right.
So
yeah. I got a chance to have Erica Jarvis coach my kid's softball team too. I love the type of brand of coaching she brings to the table too. So I think that's a nice addition for you as well, Coach. Well, within due time, both Anthony and I'm sure we'll see you out there on the hardwood here real soon too. I'm excited to see the growth from this G-Men team too, and what you continue to instill with this Lady G-Men team.
And we'll get some meatball subs out of South Range for the holiday tournament. So better make sure official to remind him in his preview. He's got to get those meatball subs ready for us.
We'll make sure they're there for you, Coach. Best of luck this season. We'll be seeing you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure to talk to Aaron Gilbert from Garrettsville Garfield. And we will make sure that Coach Fishel absolutely has those subs, meatball subs ready in the Holiday Hoops tournament. That's something we look forward to every basketball season. The great event that South Range is able to host, that we're able to broadcast all the way through. 16 games in 2 days. It's always fun. Garfield has been a part of it for a while. Sounds like they will again. And we are definitely excited to be a part of it as well. So that was head coach Aaron Gilbert from Garrettsville Garfield. Another season preview for you in the bag. And we will continue to put season previews out on this show as the weeks go on and we get closer to the start of basketball season. We want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Reminder to go out there and vote. It is your duty to vote as an American citizen. So make sure to vote today for your candidate, not just in the presidential election, but also all the other candidates that are out there and the issues that are on the ballot. Make sure to vote for all of them. Do your civic duty. Get out there. You vote for the right to vote, right? You have it. You have the right to vote. Others don't. Don't take it for granted. For Anthony Hartwig, myself, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Running Point, always brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 with Scotty Mincher in the sidecar. We'll see what's on Scotty's mind tomorrow. As we always do, it'll be a fun show. Don't miss it. Scotty Mincher from 1 to 2 tomorrow on Running Point. We will see you. Have a great night, everybody.